Hi everyone, I'm Razor Raccoon. If you just watched part 1, then welcome back. I'm going to show you how to brew 147 potions at once. The first video taught you how to make the device that I'm standing on that will brew 21 potions. We're going to build 6 more of them in a certain configuration and then link them all up so that we can brew 147 potions very quickly, all at once. Now I do want to note that I'm standing on the new switch. In parts of the video, if you look to the left of my character here, you'll see the old switch. You will see that sometimes in this video because I updated it partway through. Do not let that confuse you. We're going to be using this new switch that I taught you how to build in part 1 of the first video, so let's get started. Notice that I'm using Lightmatica to speed this up. I've got these overlapping just a little bit because that's just empty space right there. This is about as close together as I can get them without any of the redstone interfering between the different stations. As you can see, there's this overlap right here, but there's nothing in there, so it's not actually touching, and this part here is not going to interact, so it should be fine. So I've got 4 of them right next to each other. We're going to put 3 on the other side, but we're going to start building with these 4 first. So I'm going to go ahead and place this one, and then we'll get started. I didn't explain this in the last video, but I think it's important to understand it now. That the way this works, these hoppers are off because there's a signal to them from this torch over here. They do not pull from these above hoppers. When you put some ingredients in here, 7 ingredients exactly, and 7 is the magic number. It doesn't work past that for some reason. 7 ingredients go in, and this is a 7 hopper chain, not counting that one. So it goes 7. When the first ingredient hits here, there will be 1 ingredient in each hopper at that point. And then a signal from this comparator will turn that torch off and allow them to get sucked down into these hoppers, which are feeding into the brewing stands below, are actually going into the chest that will go into the brewing stands. Now, they stay in there for the moment until the next ingredient comes along and pushes them through. So that's an important thing to note too. They stay in here. When the next ingredient comes through and drops down, it pushes them into the chest, and then they immediately go into the hopper that feeds into the brewing stand, and the brewing process starts. This button is for the last ingredient. If you click this button, it turns it off for a moment, lets the last ingredient drop down and start brewing, and then finish the brewing process. So we're going to do the same thing by hooking all 7 of these together. There's going to be a chain of hoppers over here where we'll connect 7 hoppers together like this. And it'll do the same thing and go out to all of them. So what we're doing at the moment, we're going to put 4 hoppers going into these 4 stations, and we got to connect them all up into a pipe. So the way I'm doing that is I started by making sure these were 2 apart, like that. And now we can feed them in. Okay. And we'll do the same thing over here. And just make sure they're pointing into the next hopper in the line for this to work, because it needs to be a continuous pipe. We're basically making a pipe that goes into here. And these need to be at least 7 hoppers long. I made them a little bit longer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, so there's an extra one. There needs to be at least 7 or the timing will be off, and they will not load up the brewing stands evenly. So those 2 are connected up. Now we just got to connect these up, which is the same idea. And I'll do that. We just got to connect these up. I'll do that, and then we'll continue from there. Now the 3 remaining, these spaces here need to be pointing in this direction towards the other brewing stands. So let's just get those started. And we'll do that like this. Okay, so that's now a continuous row. That's a hopper pipe there. Sorry, it's not a hopper pipe. This is a hopper pipe. These are zigzagging. So 3 are coming this direction. The other 4 are going in that direction. But they're 7. It's a row of 7 above them, which is the key thing here, and that's important. And this middle pipe is 7 long. There's 1 extra hopper on the receiving end, so it'll be 8 just for good measure. I want it to be at least 7. Other it messes up the timing, like I said. We'll connect these after we've placed the other 3 stations. I'll go ahead and do that now using Lightmatica. Okay, I've placed the other 2 stations as close as is reasonable to do so that the redstone won't interfere with each other, and now we'll connect these pipes up. Okay, let's build the apparatus that's going to distribute the ingredients evenly, 7 of each ingredient out to each station. We're going to make sure you're shift clicking for this because these chests need to be separate. Don't make any double chests. And then we're going to get on top of these chests and we're going to put hoppers pointing into them. And then we're going to do a hopper chain. So we'll put a block at the end, like that. And this is going to be our hopper pipe. One extra. This is what we're going to feed our ingredients into. And we're going to come down here. We're going to put blocks behind each of these. Put redstone all across it. And then we're going to put a switch here. We're going to have this turned off by default. There's a little bit of extra work on this side to get this to work right. Okay. Alright, so alongside these, get rid of that one. We need a block here. We'll put redstone all the way down here. Comparator going into there. And a torch, I believe. Yep, there we go. Right there. So now these again are off. These hoppers right here are turned off because of this signal by default until the ingredients flow all the way to the end, and then it'll turn them on for a moment so they can drop down. One last touch, we're going to put a button right here, and that's going to come in handy, you'll see. I forgot one thing. This actually needs to be a repeater with one click on it, and then that should fix it. Now that is a lot of exposed hoppers that don't need to be exposed because they're not collecting anything from above them, so putting composters on them will save a lot of cycles, basically. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we're going to drop down here and connect up our switches. Much better? Let's connect all of our switching stations so that we can operate all of this with one switch. Shouldn't be very difficult at all. We'll go 4 out. It's 9 spaces between each side, so we'll go 4 on each side, and then we should be able to connect like that. We'll put redstone in a moment. There we go. So we should be able to put a switch here and then connect all this with redstone. It's gonna be a little awkward because I'm gonna have to duck under. Let's see. I think we might want to put a repeater here, just make sure everything can reach. That worked, okay. And I think that'll reach, we'll find out in a second. Put a repeater there for good measure. That might be all we need. We'll find out in just a moment. Okay. We definitely don't want to have to go around to all the different stations and collect all those potions. We want them to all come in front here. So what I've done is I've stepped out a few blocks ahead and made a row of chests, and we're going to make this our collection area. So I'm going to make hoppers going into each of these chests. This is going to be our little collection array. that, and we're going to have then a hopper going into there and a hopper pipe across like this. So now we just need to direct all of our potions into the beginning of this pipe like so. And now we can go back. Whoops. Now we just connect this to all of our collection chests for each thing. We'll do it on both sides. I missed one. I added a sign for clarity. Now when we hit brew, when we switch to brew mode, it should unlock the water feeders and they'll put water bottles into all of the potion stands. If you do hear any clicking, don't worry about that because each one of these, there's already plenty of water bottles for one batch of potions. When you hear clicking to refill the water bottles, that's just to make sure we're ready for the next batch. It's not going to hold us up. So let's do it. There they go. They've filled with water bottles. All right. Yep. Here's some clicking. There's refilling water bottles for the next batch. And come over all the way down here. Yep, it made it all the way down. That's good. We're ready to give it a try. Now there are a couple of stages to this portion of it because this first apparatus is going to gather all of our ingredients in this chest, in these 7 chests, excuse me, evenly distributed to go out to the 7 stations. Now that means we want to make sure to check first that this is in hold mode. That's what's going to trap the ingredients here. And then we have to also keep in mind that the last ingredient will get stuck. It's just the way these hoppers work. And then the next ingredient for the next batch of potions will push that through. So what we're going to do is we're going to first take a batch of nether wart and put that in there. Just the nether wart. And we're going to let that accumulate in these chests. So it'll start falling in here. And we're not going to put the rest of the ingredients in yet. We're going to prime this first with some nether wart for the very first batch that we make. And then after that, we'll always add nether wart last because the nether wart from the previous batch that we used to push the last ingredient through will be waiting and already ready to start the next batch. But the first time we use it, we want to do this. And we're going to need to press the button for the last ingredient. Okay, so now all the nether wart is ready to go and we can release it. Let's do that. And this will be quick because all of them go at the same time. So see, these chests are now empty. We can hold again. Okay, so now there is nether wart waiting. See? Okay, and the rest of the ingredients will push that through. So now I'm going to clear my inventory. Now we can take these ingredients, 49 of each, load them all in. See, if we had put the nether wart in while the other nether wart was in there, it would all mix up and it wouldn't stay in order because the hopper's going to see, oh, you already have a stack of nether wart in there, and then just start adding to that stack. So that's why we had to go ahead and prime it with nether wart first. So what's happening is these are being evenly distributed. They'll all go in except for the very last bit of redstone. Oh, sorry, excuse me, nether wart, because that's the last ingredient. Yeah. Okay, so now we should have 6 in all of these. Press the last button and the last nether wart will go in. Yep. And now we can release. Okay, these are going to go out pretty quickly, like I said. Okay, and now they should be brewing. If we check this one, the nether wart's brewing, and the rest of the ingredients are ready to go. All right, I'll check. I'll time lapse, and we'll check on this for the next step. I know I said next step, but it's really the last step, and that's just to get our potions out. So we hit this release switch. That should release them all, and they'll start flowing. Now keep in mind, it looks like they're out like really fast, but they are still in these hoppers to some extent. It takes a little while for them to flow through, usually. Oh, it's actually pretty quick. Okay, but they're flowing down this pipeline. See? And then they're going first into this first chest here, and then when that fills up, they'll start going into this chest. There they go. until there's 147 of them. And I'm pretty sure with the updated switches that I put in, there will not be any water bottles. If there are, it will be very few. I'm not seeing any, so I think we're good. When you see these stop coming in, you could probably, it's probably safe to, yeah, they've stopped flowing. So we can now flip this back to brew. And now it's ready for the next batch, and it's got water bottles ready to go for the next batch. And now that they've stopped flowing, we've got 1, 2 and a half and 2 hoppers full of fire resistance potions with extended duration. It's really important that you operate this correctly. If you mismatch ingredients or forget, for instance, to press the button at the end so that there's only 6 of each in here and there's 1 stuck in here, they'll go out and there'll be 1 potion stand that doesn't have it, and now you'll have pipes that you need to clean out for it to work correctly the next time, because that 1 remaining ingredient will knock everything out of whack. So again, I like to prime it first. The first time you ever use it, you put nether wart in, 49 of them in here. They will distribute out, 6 will be in the chests, and there'll be 1 in here. Then you press the button, that'll release the last one, so there's 7 in each chest. Then you flip this switch, let them all flow. You can check it to be sure they're all out. It won't take long at all, and then flip it back. Now that's only the first time. Now you have nether wart waiting. At the end, now when you do the next batch, you're going to put 49 of every ingredient, followed by 49 nether wart. And then again at the end, you'll have all the ingredients in here except for 1 nether wart in this row. You'll press the button. That releases the last nether wart in, and there'll be 7 of every ingredient followed by 7 nether wart in each chest. Now when you release it, it's going to leave nether wart for the next batch of potions while your current batch is brewing. So you won't have to keep putting nether wart in at the beginning. It'll go in at the end. And then when it's all done, you flip your switch to release your potions, and they all go here. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you liked this video, if you thought brewing 147 potions at once is an impressive feat, I hope you will click subscribe and also share this video with your friends, and I'll see you next time.